for the SYBSc semester 3rd. In environmental geography, very first chapter is entitled with an introduction to the environment. Introduction to the environment, its meaning and concept. Then we proceed for its types of environment. Types of environment is basically the natural, which is the physical one, and the second one is the biotic environment. Then the environmental approaches. Environmental approaches for our studies, we considering only the three, that is the deterministic, possibilistic and ecological. Two or three are more in the approaches, we will see later on. Then we proceed to the ecosystem. In ecosystem, we have to first of all see the meaning and concept. Then we proceed for the structure. In structure, we have to see the components. Basically, two types of the components. First is the biotic and second one is the abiotic component. Then we proceed for the function. In function, there are three different types of the functions, but for our studies, we just try to see the two functions from food web. Now we proceed for the introduction to the environmental geography. Environmental geography is basically very complex and interconnected, because environment having both elements, that the living and non-living. As far as concerned with the human existence, man is totally dependent on the environment. All the things which he require for his existence, he collect from the environment. And at the contrary, whatever he needs, whatever he collect from the environment, without maintaining it very greedily, he use that. For example, due to the advancement of the technology and science, he controls the death rate, and due to that continuously population is increasing. And with increasing the population, the pressure on the different types of the resources, whatever he needs, are continuously increasing. And due to that, with the consumption of that all resources and the basic needs of the human being, he damages the environment and creates the waste in all forms concerned with the air, water, land, and continuously increasing the wastage. The quality of the environment is drastically reduces. Due to that, the environmental problems are continuously increasing and creates the challenge for the existence of the man. The main objective of this study of geography of environment is basically to make sure, to make aware the human being about the environment and its importance, and how it is essential for the existence for the long period of time. When we study the environment, it is not just the basically the physical science. It also includes concept of environmental geography. Environmental geography is the branch of geography that describes the spatial aspects of interaction between human and the natural world. It requires an understanding of the dynamics of climatology, hydrology, biogeography, geology and geomorphology, as well as the way in which human scientists conceptualize the environment. In environmental geography, we definitely requires the knowledge of all subfields of the geography and how they contributes in the environmental studies or in definition of the environment. Saminder Singh's definition of 1989 is very good, which properly present the basic concept of the environmental geography. That is, the environmental geography may be defined as the study of the spatial attributes of interrelationship between living organisms and natural environment. Up to this definition is very casual as the remaining one, but further, in general and in between, technologically advanced economic man and natural geography. Now we have to proceed for the next one, that is the types of environment. In types of environment, in some of the book, the types are basically explained in micro and macro, because micro is very connected with one of the living content or the component, but macro is on a somewhat broad scale. But in another manner, when we try to study the types of environment, it's also explained in two different ways, that is the physical environment and the biotic environment. That physical environment is basically the non-living environment. In that non-living, basically the abiotic factors or the conditions like temperature, light, rainfall, soil, minerals, and along with that the chemical components which are rotating in the environment in a cycling manner, it is also taking into consideration. But when we taking the biotic component, basically the biotic component is nothing but the living organisms. In living organisms, if we explain on a broad scale, we can we can explain the plants, animal, and microorganisms. Definitely, in another word, we can say the producers, then the consumers, and the decomposers, because in different way the same thing we can explain in biotic component point of view. In some of the book also, the biotic components are very differently try to present, but all the meanings related with that are very common one. But basically concerned with the types of environment, the third component is also very important, that is the cultural environment, because the man is one of the very basic and very important element of the environment, and in historical time continue so we have to study. Then we proceed for the environmental approaches. Environmental approaches itself very important, concerned with the study of the environment. But for that, the approaches, how man taking approach towards the studying of environment, in that we have, for our syllabus we have only three different approaches, that is deterministic, possibilistic, and ecological. But except that also the remaining one are teleological, economic, and the regional approach. What is the deterministic approach? In very short, if we try to explain, in ancient time when man was live just wildlife, he believes that whatever the nature controls, whatever nature provides him, only on that he have to survive, and continuously he follows the laws of the nature. But in that he do not have more scope to change the situations, and with that, without making any damage to the environment, he survives, and his sustenance concerned with the environment is continuously balanced in that time. Then we proceed to the possibilistic approach. In possibilistic approach, somewhat changes are takes place, in which how the man can change, which type of the possibilities and opportunities are there for his betterment. Just like if in an area where human beings are living, there is water only available in rivers in the period of the rainy seasons, but in dry seasons there is no any water. If due to the knowledge man can create the bund or the dams across the river and store that water and channelize that water and use that water for his requirement in dry season, that type of the possibilities are there. Just like that, with the technology, the man try to use different types of the metals, different types of the technique, and change the environment. He can use the land which was under the forest, after he converts into the agricultural land, and on that agricultural product he processed that agricultural product. Then he try to store that means from wild he domesticate different types of the productions